Hey guys, Dave with First Place Auto Parts. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio today. You know, one of the things that gets under my skin just a little bit in the automotive aftermarket, especially in the press, is that every car is considered to be a muscle car, and look, that's just not the case. There's literally classifications for different types of cars, and it goes something like this. You've got your muscle cars, and then you've got your pony cars, and then you have your sports cars. Look, they're different vehicles, and everyone tends to lump them into the same combination. It's just not the case, especially in the 60s and 70s. Look, in the late model vehicles, it's gotten a little harder to differentiate between a pony car and what a muscle car is, but there's still some things that you can look for. And in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to better identify those things so that you know whether you have a muscle car, a pony car, or a sports car, because not every pony car was a muscle car, and certainly not every sports car was a pony car. So guys, stay tuned to today's video, and after the time we're done with it, you'll have a better understanding of what you're driving. Hey guys, if you like today's video, please consider subscribing to the First Place Auto Parts YouTube channel. We're going to continually be adding new videos every week where we show you how to put new parts on. We take a look at the latest parts that are available, and we go to some pretty cool car guy stuff I'm pretty sure you're going to want to see. Now today, people tend to lump everything with a hot motor in it and it goes fast as a muscle car, but the truth is that wasn't always the case. Back in 1964 and a half, really back in 1965, Ford unleashed the Ford Mustang, and look, this was truly the sense of the birth of the pony car. A pony car, well, it's typically something that has a V8 engine or a straight six-cylinder in it, but typically the V8 engine was a smaller V8, like a 289 or a 302. Yes, there were some pony cars that had bigger motors, but originally the pony car, it had a smaller V8 engine in it. They were two doors and they were smaller cars. They were aimed towards a youthful or a younger market. They were meant to be fun to drive, sporty, and most importantly, perhaps affordable. But not only was the Mustang a pony car, but cars that came after it like the Camaro and also the Barracuda were all considered to be pony cars. Now the pony cars, they were fun to drive. Men and or women could drive them with little to no problem. They could be daily driven, but again, these cars tended to be a little bit smaller, had more of an emphasis on handling and youthfulness than they did actually all-out performance. They were great for corners. They were okay for going in a straight line, but the pony car market, it was unique to itself, and those cars are unique as well. And the best way to tell a muscle car is that it was just that much bigger. It was everything about a muscle car is big. Where pony cars were svelte little machines that had smaller V8s, you could haul two people in it, maybe three or four in a pinch. An American muscle car, it was bigger in every sense of the word. The first acknowledged muscle car, well, that was the 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88 that could reach 0 to 60 in, get this, 13 seconds. Look, that isn't much at all today. Most of your subcompact cars can hit that. But back in 1949, that was screaming. That was really hauling the mail. So the muscle car market is basically a formula of a large engine and an intermediate sized car. Really, the one that really kicked it off was when John DeLorean stuffed that larger Pontiac motor, defying all the bands that GM had at the time, and putting it in a Pontiac Tempest. And now came the GTO in 1964, which is really the kind of the second coming, or what we would consider to be the birth of the modern muscle car. Now, the Ford Galaxies, the Plymouth Satellites, and also the Chevrolet Impalas, those things were all the basis for what would ultimately become some of the hottest muscle cars ever made in the mid-60s all the way up until the early 70s. It's like they don't really turn all that well, muscle cars don't, but they go in a straight line exceedingly well. Typically they have a longer wheelbase, which helps with straight line stability, but an American muscle car, look, it can be a 2 or a 4-door, it can even be a station wagon, and it was totally a different animal than a pony car. The pony car was really meant for handling. It was really geared towards a more youthful or a younger audience. The American muscle car cost more, were a bigger vehicle, were meant to go in a straight line, didn't handle nearly as well as a pony car, and were aimed at a little more mature, if you will, or more affluent. Look, it took some money to buy some of these muscle car packages back in the 60s and early 70s, maybe more so than what the pony car market would have sustained or offered at that point in time. But the American muscle car, look, that is your bread and butter of the automotive aftermarket. They're robust, they're big horsepower, big bodies, and big fun. And then you get to the sports car crowd, and look, sports cars, cars, they're kind of a dirty word at the drag strip. And I learned that the first time I took my 73 Corvette to go run down the quarter-mile. Look, the thing was pretty hot. It had side pipes, some motor work, and nitrous oxide, and I was ready to go down the drag strip. But the doggone announcer in the tower, every time I lined up, reminded me that I was not a muscle car. I was in a sports car, and quite honestly, I kind of took offense to that, but you know what? He was right. Sports cars typically are a lower slung type vehicle that have a lower center of gravity, and they have an extreme focus on handling. They're always rear-wheel drive, and quite honestly, a lot of times they're only two-seat vehicles. It's a different crowd. It's a different type of tool. Look, if you're going for something twisty on a daily drive, the sports car is going to be a lot of fun, but you're not going to haul a lot of people or a lot of things with it. Yes, the Corvette is a sports car. It cars up twisty canyons like nobody's business. It can go in a straight line, but it's so limited in its focus, and that's part of the allure of a sports car. But there is definitely a difference between a sports car and a muscle car. There were sports cars that had big V8 engines in it, like the L88 Corvette, and yes, you can drag race those, but their real forte was a mid-size V8 engine that had higher RPMs, because it helped with the weight distribution. Yes, it could go fast in a straight line, but its real specialty was those twisty turns. It really excelled at that. So when you get down to it, you know, when you have the muscle car, which was a sledgehammer, right? That thing was meant for going in a straight line very fast. It could haul people, but it kind of extracted a toll to do that. A lot of your hardcore muscle cars. A sports car doesn't haul a lot of people, but it handles very well. It's kind of on a razor's edge. They're a little twitchy. You can't haul as much stuff in them, and they're not nearly as useful as a daily driver. And then you get to the pony car, which was kind of that midpoint between muscle car and sports car. It combined a little bit of the handling of a sports car, but you got the forward thrust of a muscle car, and you also got that American rugged good looks in the classic pony car market. Look, Trans Am racing is really what brought the pony cars to the forefront in regards to performance. Back in 69 and 70, when the Boss 302s and Mark Donahue and the Z28s were mopping up the road courses, we really began to appreciate how much better those cars handled than the old traditional muscle cars that they had used on some of those road circuits beforehand. So they all have their place. I'm a muscle car guy. The pony cars, they tend to be a little small, and to be honest with you, I'm a little bigger guy. I don't fit in them as comfortably, but I certainly appreciate the Camaros, the Barracudas, and the Mustangs. And the sports cars, what can I say about those? I've owned a couple of Corvettes. I liked them for what they were, but they weren't incredibly usable on a daily basis. Yes, there's people that drive them every day, but the reality is the front nose scrapes on everything. You got to watch out for every speed bump, and if you want to take more than your wife with you, if you want to take some buddies with you, they're out of luck. So for me, the American muscle car was the perfect vehicle. For a lot of people, the pony car, that's the one that they choose as well. Guys, I appreciate you watching this video, and hopefully it was fun for you to learn a little bit of the difference between the muscle car, sports cars, and also pony cars. If you ever need parts for your project, please check us out at First Place Auto Part at fpautoparts.com. There we have everything to make your car look good, get it back to its original style, or make it run harder as well. Guys, until next time, keep the hammer down and keep it between the guardrails.